All right, this week on the podcast, I'm joined by Rob Metayer. Rob is a realtor, but the reason I want to have him on was because about 15 months ago, he started this weight loss journey, him and his daughter. And we have a conversation about what started that process, what are some of the things they did. You'll get a sense of where he's at now. He's had a lot of success with it, but I found this conversation to be probably one of my favorite conversations I've had in 75 episodes of podcasts. It's just something that totally hit home with me. Rob had some good information to share, but you could just see some of the emotion in his face or in his voice when we talked about different things. And I think it comes across really well. And I think you'll really enjoy this conversation if you've ever had an issue with weight loss. I found it to be very inspiring. So appreciate Rob coming on. This is the Randy Forcier podcast. As always, if you can do me a favor, just subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Also have pages on Facebook and Instagram if you could follow those as well. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you taking the time to subscribe. Leave comments, like anything that I post. Means the world to me. So thanks again. Here's Rob. All right, today I'm joined by Rob Metayer. Rob is someone that has been on a weight loss journey for the past 15 months. He started something which was called the Metayer Family 185-pound weight loss challenge. It's evolved from there. He's made a ton of progress. I'm happy to have you on to share your story. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Randy. I'm excited. A little nervous, but excited as well.
We'll have some fun, man. Like I was telling you before, I'm looking forward to sharing your story. It's been inspiring for me personally and happy for all the success that you've had with it. And we'll kind of just jump into things. Tell me about what the process was of coming up with this challenge. I assume weight loss has been a thing for you through your life, and then you decided to really step up your game with it.
So it's definitely a genetic struggle throughout my family. So when, the wife and I got together, we first got together, we were both in great shape, and, I'd gotten probably the smallest I had been, in my young 20s when I met her, and got to 225 pounds. Shortly after we got, together and got comfortable, my weight skyrocketed to the point where it was 405 pounds at my heaviest.
When was that? Because I don't think I've known you since you were at any point that you were that way, or maybe I did. When was the 405?
No. So my son's 16. I was at my heaviest when Zach was born. So that was 2007. And then I decided to have gastric bypass surgery. Well, so I lost, from 405, I came down to 250 pounds. And then from there, I've always bounced. I go 250, 310, 245 I got down to, and then kind of like that 240s, 245 was always my plateau. So I've struggled my whole life. I've been big since I was a kid. We were worried about that when we started having children, like, are our kids gonna, struggle with their weight? So what kind of inspired us to do it is my daughter was going into her senior year of high school, and she was struggling, and I get emotional. So she was struggling. So I was sitting out on the back deck with her, not this last July, but the July before that. And we were having a great time. We just got back from camp. We were laughing and joking outside on the back deck. They were gearing up, getting ready to start their week. It was a Sunday, and we were laughing, joking, but my daughter looked sad. She looked sad. Her eyes were glossy. She just looked uncomfortable. And I was feeling uncomfortable. And I looked at her and I said, "Hey, Maddy," I said, "have you stepped on the scale recently? Do you know where you're at?" Just out of the blue, like I said, we were having a great time. Things were going good, but I just had this feeling. And she said, "No, I've been avoiding it." And when she said she'd been avoiding it, it's kind of how I've done my whole life is, when I'm gaining weight or doing the wrong things or eating fast food all the time, I avoid the scale, I avoid mirrors, I avoid, everything. So I just looked at her and I said, let's step on the scale. Let's both go step on the scale right now. And, we did. And she started crying. She started crying. I started crying. Geez, sorry, Randy. Get emotional.
I'm honestly going to start crying.
Yeah, it's an emotional thing. So we jumped on the scale. We had our crying thing, and from that point on, I went into, I call it Danny Tanner full house mode. Cue the music in the background, join that with Tony Robbins. And I went into we're going to do this. Let's do this together. It's hard, but let's come up with a plan. And we literally within 2.5 hours talked through everything that we were going to do, like what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, what our challenges were going to be, and what our rules were going to be so that we could be successful. And we kind of went from there. And within 2.5 hours, we had a plan. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of hits home for me too. Just like the idea, I mean, I haven't been to the 300, 400 pound range, but I mean, I've been a little bit thicker since, you get out of high school, and especially the jobs that we're both in, which we'll get to at some point. So I know that idea of avoiding the scale, avoiding mirrors, that wearing clothes that, isn't too tight or something, something along those lines. So I can understand where probably your daughter was and where you are. And then to have that moment, like actually stepping on the scale, is probably a very big step in that process to
Yeah.
losing weight,
Yeah.
So
I mean, it was July and she had 2 months before she started her senior year. And I was
Mhm.
just in my head. And, the kids at school, they're horrible. They were making fun. They were giving her a hard time. Her first 3 years of high school was just avoiding, like, just wearing big frumpy clothes, trying to avoid social situations a lot.
Mhm.
And that's not what I wanted for her. I wanted her to
Mhm.
have, like, and so we flipped the script on it,
Mhm.
and we went into, we didn't even create the Metayer Family Challenge that Sunday out on the
Mhm.
back deck. That developed 3 days later when I was out on the track, and I was like, hey, she's not here with me, but I want her to see what I'm doing when
Mhm.
she's not with me, and then I want her to interact and show me what she's doing when I'm not with her, so that we can hold each other accountable. So that's kind of
So
how
the
that
social
all,
media stuff was
the
trying to
social
like
media
put
stuff
it
was,
out there, keep each
yep.
other accountable.
Yeah, well, that was one of our rules for her, is because I said, what are you going to do when your friends go out to eat? She's like, well, because they always went out to Olive Garden. It was pasta breadsticks. That was their favorite place
Right.
to go. I was like, Maddie, you're a lot like me. You're outgoing. You're a take charge type of girl. I was
Mhm.
like, so we need to tell everybody what you're doing so that they know to help you. Instead of take you to Olive Garden, you need to go get, a Longhorn steak and salad. You need to
Mhm.
mix things up. She's like, senior year is going to be pretty busy, so I'm really worried about that. So that was one of our rules. So that was in my head as one of our rules. So I'm like, wait, I have to let everybody know we're doing this. And if
Mhm.
I let everybody know we're doing this on social media, all her friends, all her family, all her people will also see it because I'll be tagging her. So it worked out great. It really did. But it developed like 3 days in,
Mhm.
of a way for me to announce to the world, hey, we're doing this time.
I think that's a good idea. So, if you maybe don't have like for you, maybe you don't have a drink when you're out to dinner, or you eat something a little bit different, people aren't like, oh, wow, Rob's being weird today. Like everyone knows what you're doing. And that way they can kind of support you and Maddie. And that way I think it's a good idea. I didn't even think of it from that point of view, but I think that probably helped a lot to just kind of put it out there that way.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
did. And then, that kind of grew because I was like, all right, I got to post every day, because if I don't
Mhm.
post every day and I fall out of habit, and, I got to create this habit. So we posted every day, and then it kind of grew from there to be like, all right, first it was a 100-pound challenge.
Mhm.
And we got to that. We set our rules. We were, intermittent fasting. So we did 12 noon to 8 o'clock at night was our
Mhm.
eating window. And then we cut out the carbs. But the posting, the exercise, and the activities and the photos really just helped spark. I don't know. It just helped keep us accountable.
Yeah, that
It
makes a ton of
really was
sense.
good. Yeah.
So, what were some of the other rules that you came up with that first night? Was the intermittent fasting stuff like something you came up with that day?
We were like, I was like, I just started asking her questions, and I was kind of talking to myself because I've just yo-yoed and I've been through every diet. I've been through I've done low carb. Atkins is what they called it back in the day before it was keto. You know, I, I've worked out. I did for a short time, like 3-4 months. I was getting really fit back, when the kids were younger. I really, but it was always temporary. It wasn't consistent like it is
Mhm.
now. But yeah, so I lost my train of thought.
Well, I was trying to get a sense on, honestly, probably more for me than anything, like just like as I think of like trying to change my life, or anyone that's listening change their life, but like I wonder what some of those first things that you came up with were like day one, that you were
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
that
So
you
I
guys were gonna do. I'm
started.
sure it's evolved
That's
since
where I
then.
was going with that. Right?
Yeah.
Is she was. I started asking her questions. I was like, okay, so what's been successful? What's worked? I was like, what have I done? Like, we know low carb works for our body type. Like the minute we
Mhm.
cut out the carbs, like just does something to your body where, you just start feeling better, instantly after you get over that initial 3 day, like keto flu,
Mhm.
where you're kind of withdrawing from the carbs. But so that was, we just started asking questions like, what's worked for us? What hasn't worked? I was like, I did do the intermittent fasting my body did respond. I was like, so let's just pair the intermittent fasting with the low carb. Let's cut out the sugar. So that was that was like the
Mhm.
base rules. Then we came up with our eating window that fit the 12 to 8. And then the rule that we came up with while we were kind of brainstorming all this was, number one, we got to lose 30 pounds before we have any treats. So 30 pounds was our first like milestone. Like we're going to do 30 pounds before we have any treats. And we set that. And we even started planning what that treat was going to be pretty much instantaneous. So that was,
Mhm.
a good rule that we set up.
So no cheat days up until that point. It was
Third,
just
we
all
were
in
past the
till
point
that.
where we needed 30 pounds gone. We needed to develop the habit before we allowed that stuff in at all. So
Mhm.
that was our first real hard and fast like goal slash that was
Mhm.
a rule that we came up with. Number two or number three rule was really no back to back treats. So if we treat ourselves at 30 pounds, we can't go out the next day and have another treat. So we had to spread out our treat days, and we don't call them cheat days. We call them
Yeah.
treat days,
Yep.
so that
Yep.
makes it just a positive thing instead of a negative thing. Yeah. Yeah. And then a good rule we came up with, holidays are free. Holidays don't count. So because in the past I've been dieting, I've tried to diet on holidays and it just doesn't work out. So
Sucks.
yeah,
It
yeah,
makes the holiday not enjoyable.
yeah.
Even if it's just a little bit not enjoyable, you're just like, oh, I feel gross. I know the exact feeling.
Yeah, so holidays are free. So our first holiday that we really had was Thanksgiving. So it was perfect, and we enjoyed every bite because we had gone July to almost the end of September, and we got to that 30-pound mark, and we
Yep.
had our first treat. And then we went from the end of September, and then it was Thanksgiving. So that was amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Thanksgiving tasted extra good that year.
What was your first exercise session like when you guys made the decision that you were going to do this? Did you say, I'm going to go to a track the next morning, I'm going to actually go to Planet Fitness the next morning, or did the exercise piece come a few days later?
It came gradual. It did. We started, our rule was the exercise rule was we got to get at least an hour in 3 times a week, like just to
Mhm.
kind of like, you know, start the habit and not overdo it so we get burnt out right away. So,
Yeah.
I started going to the track. We did get the gym memberships. We started playing basketball in the yard, started doing
Mhm.
things like that and planning like, okay, we're going to go for a walk, we're going to go for a hike, we're going to do something. And then that was part of Maddy's kind of process was like, okay, what am I going to do when I'm bored, when I'm
Mhm.
hungry and I'm bored? And our biggest thing was, okay, you need to just find things to distract yourself. So she'd start cleaning out her car. She'd start getting her friends and going, they went roller skating instead of out to eat. They did those things to really start doing activities in replacement of just going to eat, or focusing around food or giving yourself downtime where you just get bored. And,
Mhm.
next thing you know, that's all you want to do is eat. So, yeah.
When did it develop into like a more, I mean, I don't even know what it's been for Maddie, but I see you at the gym a lot. Like, when did it transition to like actual workouts and like a workout plan, maybe?
Yeah, so for me, anything I do, if I do it kind of like comes from my dad, I guess.
Mhm.
The Metayer family motto is do it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
So now, just after a year and 3 months, it's become such a habit that now I feel weird if I don't make it to the gym. Or if I, like
Yeah.
this morning, I didn't make it to my back bicep and forearm workout, and
Yeah.
I feel like something's missing right now. So for
Mhm.
me, it's like I have to be there. Maddie's not as hardcore. You know,
Mhm.
she finished her senior year. She had the best senior year we could have ever hoped for. You know, yeah, yeah. I get like I said, this is probably why I was nervous to do this, Randy, is because I knew I'd
Yeah,
get. I'm an emotional guy, so
dude, I
I
love
knew
it, man. I honestly do. It's freaking, it's amazing.
I
So,
knew I'd get choked up. But she had
yeah.
the best senior year we could ever hope for. You know, she got herself a boyfriend, so now you
Mhm.
know they're hanging out a lot. They're going to the gym now as like a
Mhm.
couples thing because he already went
Mhm.
to Planet Fitness. So now they do it as a. So I mean, she's been ramping up her game recently, but hers has been
Mhm.
more like 2-3 times a week, just kind of easing into the gym and exercise. For me, I go almost every day now. Like
Mhm.
it's just such a habit that I feel weird if I don't make it.
So it's a morning thing for you? Like
I
you're a morning
try.
gym guy?
I try because, well, being in the real estate business, taking all the business courses and classes throughout the years, they kind of teach you that one thing that you want to do. You either do it first thing in the morning or it falls off. You forget to do it. You're too tired to
You get
do it.
busy.
You
Phone
know,
starts ringing. People want to talk. People want to meet,
yeah, yeah, that
100%.
the Keller Williams kind of the one thing book, sticks in my head. I read that book and it's like the one thing
Mhm.
you want to do, you do it first thing in the morning so that it's the one thing that gets done and then everything else falls into line. So
Yeah.
so I've really been trying to go in the morning times bright and early.
What the heck was I going to say? Where did you develop your workout plan at this point? Like you obviously know that today's like back, bicep, forearms, and I'm sure there's a chest day and leg day and a cardio day. Like, is that something you've educated yourself and developed a plan, or is there like a guru that you've leaned on for that sort of stuff?
It's great nowadays, right? Because you got so many TikTok and YouTube videos, and
Mhm.
if you want to know something about anything, you can basically search a video on it. So I really
Mhm.
immerse myself in like, you know, watching the videos of like the bodybuilders and the people who know
Mhm.
what they're doing, and I kind of follow that lead and have just taken those kind of ideas and just put them into my own kind of gym theory, I guess, of
Yeah.
how my body responds and what I should be doing, but really just making sure that you know now the big gains are gone. We've lost
Mhm.
176 pounds of the 185-pound challenge.
Mhm.
The number has become less important now, and
Yeah.
it's more important how we feel. So getting to that 185 would be great, but the lifting the weights and seeing the definition changes now is really what I have to lean on because the big gains are gone. The
Yeah.
big wow, look at that. I was
Mhm.
this 305 pounds last 2 Julys ago. And now it's like, oh, look at that new line in my, tricep area. That's
Yeah.
that's really so for me, the development of that has just come with now wanting to see those definition gains and the size, the inches come down and
Mhm.
really trying to tone up. So, 3 days of cardio a week is
Mhm.
more than enough, and then 3 days of working out lifting is really good. And then at first we just really eased into it. I did really lightweight. I walked on no incline on the treadmill and
Yeah.
just took it kind of easy while we were losing the fat, and now I'm more conditioned to be able to do a little bit more.
Yeah. What was some of the biggest challenges that you faced through this process? I'm sure there were ups and downs. It wasn't just a straight line to weight loss.
Yeah, yeah. So the biggest challenge I would say is the at first it was breaking that habit, the snack wanting to eat habit. You just in
Mhm.
such a for me it's I'm on the go. My job is a little bit in the office, a little bit on the a little bit in the office, a little bit at the gym, but then it's my schedule is jam packed and I'm on the go. I'm going to listing appointments, buyer
Yeah.
appointments, family events. We're always on the run. So
Mhm.
my biggest challenge is there's not really a lot of great fast quick options for healthy people, for when you're trying to eat healthy. I keep thinking, man, is there a market for that? Because there's just nowhere. So the biggest challenge is finding that quick, easy food that is not bad for you and that, helps
What
you
was your
stick.
solution to that? Like, does
Protein.
that mean, okay, I'm going to pack my own stuff, or is there like places that you identified as like more healthier than McDonald's or something like that?
Yeah, so in a pinch, McDonald's without the bread. In a real pickle, Domino's chicken wings 20 minutes before you're going to drive by a Domino's. Those types of things, really sticking to the low carb,
Mhm.
protein options. But I started leaning towards, protein shakes at the local corner store, and then some sort of
Mhm.
almonds or cashews or something like that. Cheese sticks were a big thing for me. Those are great because you can peel them down. You can, it's almost like you're snacking, like eating a potato chip or something.
But it's easy. It's just an
It's
easy grab and go thing.
easy,
Yeah.
quick, on the go food. Yep,
Mhm.
exactly. So that's kind of where
Um,
that's been the biggest challenge for me personally. Not sure Maddie's biggest challenge, I think, is just being around all her friends and people when
yeah.
there's events going on. I think that was her biggest thing, but she got through it. So
Was there ever a lack of motivation, or not lack of motivation, like motivation issues? Like where you just after 6 months were like, man, this is hard to like just do this on a consistent basis, and you had to fight through it, or did you find yourself and Maddie too maybe constantly motivated and continually motivated?
So, that's where the TikTok and some of the social media, like inspiring, memes or videos come in. I watched a lot of just gym motivation videos.
Mhm.
And in those videos, it kind of just talks about when the motivation's not there, lean on the habit, lean on the consistency of just doing it no matter what. So yeah, there's definitely days where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I've sat out in my truck drinking my coffee before the gym, going, I don't think I can do this today. And
Mhm.
then I'll talk myself out of it. I'm like, you have to do this. Number one, now we did make ourselves accountable with a social media
Mhm.
challenge, and we did put it out for the world, and we told everybody what we're doing, and now I feel kind of a sense of obligation to continue on and do it. So that
Mhm.
helps keep my motivation there for sure.
Yeah, if you're not posting, people are wondering what's going on with Rob and
Yeah.
Maddie. So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
and plus, just to add to that real quick, posting and showing that I'm there also is showing my kids that I'm there. So it's also inspired my son, Zach, he's now hitting the gym, and now he wants to grow muscles and eat that protein and see those
mhm.
gains. So now he's going, and it shows Maddie that, hey, even if you're not motivated today, dad's thinking about you. Here's the proof that I'm doing it, not because I'm not motivated today, but because I want to motivate you. Or
Yep.
have you see that in your memories when I tag you in it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so if she's struggling, or they're struggling 2-3 years from now, like our family has had a tendency to do, I think of it as, hey, they're going to see this and they're going to say, oh yeah, dad put in the work, so we got to go put in
Yeah.
the work. Yeah.
And not only just your family, like there's probably people that you inspire that you don't even know, or people that are just acquaintances that see you and maybe that motivated them to get to the gym one day or make some changes in their life. So I think it's an awesome thing, man.
Actually overwhelming. Just a quick story for you, because I told you I could ramble, so I'll give you some.
Love it.
I was walking into Dunkin' Donuts, and this lady, this was probably 7 months ago now, and this lady goes, hey, you probably don't know me, but we're friends on Facebook. And she goes, and I've been watching your weight loss journey, and it's just amazing. She got so fumbled with her kids and wanting to talk to me that she spilled her coffee everywhere. It was a big mess, but I was just like, oh my god, I honestly didn't know quite who she was, but I figured it was from the community and some events and football and all the booster stuff that I've been involved with. But it was just kind of like, that was like the aha moment that I was like, oh, this is hitting people. Like, this is like, we are inspiring people. And we've had a lot of, I've gotten a lot of Facebook messages. Hey,
Mhm.
Rob, what are you doing? And I've given out our rules
Mhm.
and shared that with people. So it's been pretty powerful.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you competed in a triathlon or trained for triathlon, or what's the situation with a triathlon?
I did. I did the Sebago Lake Triathlon in June, and I finished. I finished it. Yeah, I decided to do it on Maddie's birthday. So I decided to do it May 11th. So I had literally a month and a week and well, so about 5 weeks to train for
Yeah.
it. But I had already been training. So I figured I was, partially there.
I'm an idiot. What's a triathlon? Is it like a half marathon, a mile swimming, and a something amount of bike riding? Like, what's the parameters?
One third of a mile swim, which is a lot
Mhm.
longer than you think. When you say one
Yeah, I
third of a
couldn't swim
mile, you're
20
like,
feet.
that's
So,
not bad. Like I can do that. Swim was definitely the toughest part. Then you do a 5K run, or no, I'm
mhm,
sorry, you do the 13-mile bike, and then the
mhm.
5K run. I believe it's a 13-mile bike. I can't
Yeah.
quite remember right now, but and then so I finished it, and I wasn't last.
Did you ever like imagine that you would do something like that? Because like,
Never in
I
a
mean, it
million.
must have been like never in my life am I going to do a triathlon. So to be doing that must have been like fulfilling in its own.
Yeah, it's probably one of my, I mean, besides kids and being married for 19 years, it's one of my biggest accomplishments to date.
Mhm.
I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. Yeah, I wanted to try. The swim was definitely scary. I actually attempted another triathlon in September and I didn't quite finish because there was a big storm and it was a frog pondy type, it's the Pumpkin Man. So they do it in a pond versus a lake. And I got some grass stuck in my throat and I couldn't breathe, so I couldn't finish the swim. I literally thought I was going to die. But I'll probably give it another shot in June and see, hopefully get a little bit better at swimming for the next one. Swimming's
Swimming is sneaky. Yeah, it's sneaky. Like you said, a third of a mile doesn't seem like far, but like, I mean, dude, even the length of a pool is, I mean, if you're not someone that swims on a regular basis, don't have a swimmer's body or whatever, yeah, it's not easy. So good job
Yeah,
getting it
I
done.
definitely don't have a swimmer's body, so yeah, it was overwhelming, but I did finish. It was awesome.
Good work. How
Yeah.
about one piece of advice that you would give to anyone thinking about starting a weight loss journey? Like, what's the one thing that you would tell people? Obviously, you have a bunch of rules and a bunch of other things, but like, I guess the biggest thing.
Making the rules is number one. That helped us stick to a standard. When we set that standard, that was it. So whatever your rules are for you, whatever works best for you, that is number one. The other piece of advice I would give is start off slow. Don't try to eat the elephant in one bite, bite it one bite at a time, but also stay consistent, like and do what you can and then forget about all the other stuff. Like just stay consistent and don't kill yourself to start out, but stay consistent because I didn't push it too hard in the beginning with like the exercise, but we stayed consistent on the diet. We stayed consistent with going to the exercise. And then we eased into it and built ourselves up so that we weren't exhausted every day. We weren't so beat up or so tired that we couldn't go again. So my biggest piece of advice is just stay consistent and make sure that you're not killing yourself, but you're gradually increasing what you're doing for exercise as you go.
Which is good to know, man. It's a good reminder because I'm actually a little bit surprised, or I was surprised to hear that you said like you started out with, maybe just playing basketball or very like simple things. Like I just assumed, you made these rules on that night on the back porch, and then the next day you guys were at Planet Fitness doing a 45-minute workout, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. So I think it's good for people to hear that if you're very out of shape and very overweight, you don't have to be bench pressing, 225 pounds the next morning at the gym. It's like go for a walk or do anything, but like start.
Yeah, just start and stay consistent,
Mhm.
and don't kill yourself to the point where you can't be consistent because that's what helped us. And the
Mhm.
activities are just as good, like the basketball and the roller skating. At first, Maddie was doing more of that stuff than she was actually going to the gym, and she was keeping right up with me. And guys are supposed to lose weight at a much faster clip than women
Yeah.
in general. So the stuff she was doing, and me going to the gym more than she was keeping right up because she was staying consistent in what she was doing. So her body
Yeah.
was responding in that way. So yeah,
Yeah.
it really helps.
That's good advice. Don't want to keep you on too much longer. I did want to pivot for a second to talk a little bit about what your actual job is. You're a
Yeah.
realtor. You have your own company, Client First Realty
Yeah.
Maine. How long you been a realtor again?
10 plus years.
10
Yeah.
plus years.
Yeah.
How are things going? Crazy market right now, huh?
Crazy market. It's tough, but I still find it rewarding. I love what I do every day, so I enjoy the craziness, I guess. I embrace the craziness. But yeah, I mean, the weight loss journey has really helped keep me in top of mind with people too for real
Yeah.
estate. So it's been a win-win.
It looks like you're able to still get some buyers under contract, which is the most challenging part of the market right now. I mean, listings, people selling that stuff will fly right off the market and move very fast, but it's more challenging for buyers. And it seems like you've done a good job getting those people under contract and helping them to find homes.
Yeah. We're on every day. I got Flex MLS pulled up right now. I'm ready to start my search the minute we hang up, and just make sure that people get where they're going. That's important to stay on top of it right now is key.
Where
No
can people
problem.
find you on social media, both like personally and business wise?
Facebook, I stick to Facebook. It's been really good for me. I do a little bit of Instagram, Snapchats kind of for posting, quick pics, but really Facebook has been my bread and butter because it's really helped me expand. And I do a lot more on my personal page than I do on my business page. Only I'll tag my business page on my personal page, but I just find it's been beneficial to me, so I stick with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time, carving out a half hour of your morning to chat about your journey. Honestly, it's been eye opening for me. Proud of all the success that you had. And as a dad that has 3 daughters, like I can imagine how you felt with, Maddy and wanting to, help change her life in a positive way and having that conversation. So like, I'm proud of you for doing that, man. It's a great example for other dads out there and other parents. So well done
Thank-
on that.
I appreciate that. It means
Yeah.
a lot. And the support of everybody has been amazing. So we
Yeah.
appreciate that as well. So thanks for reaching out and doing this with me. That's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, buddy. Good to
All right.
reconnect and chat about it. So thanks for coming on, man. We'll be in touch.
All right. Sounds great.